Why do you think people believe in various irrational beliefs such as religion, esotericism, and alternative medicine? Can science in a popularized form reach masses? Can people be persuaded of scientific facts by rational reasons? Or, for example, in the case of alternative medicine, would it rather be worth making efforts to achieve a change in legislation? Well, there are many questions there. I think we're hardwired to want to believe a story, to want to believe in purpose. We're hardwired by evolution, I think, in that sense, to think that things happen for causes, for every effect has a cause. If in the ancient times on the plain in Africa, the leaves rattled, and you could say, well, that could be a lion, or it's nothing. Well, the people who thought it might be a lion and left were probably the ones who survived. And so I think there are good evolutionary reasons why people want to believe these things. We want to believe in a better world than it actually is. We want to believe the world is fair and cares about us. It makes us happier. And what we have to realize is that dispensing with those beliefs doesn't cause us to lose anything. So science, of course, in principle, gets us to question why we believe things and be very suspicious of those things. But that doesn't make it worse. It makes actually the world a more interesting place. I think in order to reach more people, we don't use just rational reasons. What we try and do is get people to confront their own misconceptions. There's a long history of pedagogy in science saying that the way you get people to really internalize something is confronting their own misconceptions, and we can continue to do that as well. There should, however, of course, be legislation that protects people from being deluded, just like there's legislation that protects people against fraud in any other place. There certainly should be legislation that protects people against fraudulent medicine. And as my friend Tim Minchin says, you know what they call alternative medicine that works? Medicine. Don't you think that the problems you attribute to religions are actually derivable from our human nature? Do you think it's probable that if there were no religions, humans would use other ideologies to suppress, crucify, punish, ethically constrain, and secure their own power? Do you think that religion can have a positive effect on morality? Well, I think it's a hypothetical question. I don't know enough about human nature to know the answer to the question. Of course, humans aren't good or bad. What I do know is religion contributes to many of these things. So if we got rid of it, maybe there's other factors that would influence things, but I can't help to think that if people, there's every bit of evidence that once we begin to accept the universe for the way it really is, our decisions become more rational. We don't say, you know, women are inferior, or women are witches and we should burn them, or gay people are unnatural, because they're not. And so inevitably, the more we learn about the universe, which is what science does, I think the more likely we are to have rational decisions. There'll still be power, there'll still be hatred. Humans are humans. They are having a rational component. Of course, religion can have a positive effect by bringing people together in a sense of community, but, you know, there must be ways to do that without telling people lies. I think there are other things that can have the same positive effects. So it's not as if religion has no positive effects. We need to ask ourselves, could you replace it with something much more productive that did? Let's say that we live in a simulated world. How would you define the terms nothing and something in this situation? What do you think the nature of existence and reality is? Well, those are philosophical questions which I tend to think have no useful answers. But I think if we lived in a simulated world which was indistinguishable from the real world, then nothing and something would be identical as they would be in the real world. If the world were so well simulated that it was indistinguishable from the world that I tend to try and study as a scientist, then it's just semantics. There is no indistinguishable difference. And what's the ultimate nature of existence and reality? Well, what really exists is that which continues to exist even when you stop believing in it. That was from a very famous science fiction writer, and I think it's the right way to say it. How much time do you think we have left until artificial intelligence takes over from humans? Will this ever happen? What will humans, would they still exist, or machines experience at the time of technological singularity? Do you agree with Ray Kurzweil's theory at all? Well, again, I don't speculate about the future. I don't see anything different between computation and consciousness, so I see no ultimate roadblock to machines becoming intelligent. When it will happen, I have no idea. I suspect it's not around the corner. I've done physics arguments that make me suspect it's at least a century away. What happens after that point? I don't have the slightest idea. But I don't think this technological singularity is much more than talk. I don't trust futurists who imagine what the future will be like. All those people 50 years ago never imagined the internet. So what I would want to know is, how do those machines think? How do they do physics? what would it be like? I'm fascinated by the idea. I'm not scared of it.